I think that it's pretty safe to say that most Destiny 2 players are feeling the burnout and the seasonal rut a bit hard right now. And funnily enough, actually this season I've been playing a lot more than usual, but then again I have taken off over a year before Witch Queen dropped, and even didn't go really hard during the Witch Queen's launch season, so I'm playing a little bit more just to kind of get back into the game. But the seasonal model is something I've been historically critical of, and for the last several years now, seasons have mainly consisted of a few basic things, that being a horde mode with a respective vendor or object to level up, with a scarce or time-gated currency, an overly drawn-out time-gated quest line full of very similar, near-repeating story missions, and a whole bunch of other menial checklist-style quests. And this type of content isn't bothersome when done very infrequently, but for each season to stick to this formula every 3 months has led many players to feel a little bit jaded towards the game, exhausted to repeat another formulaic season once again, and I understand why Bungie does it. The game doesn't have a lot of staying power beyond dragging out the grind as it currently stands, but a game doesn't need to drip feed content to stay alive. Content droughts is a term widely used in favor of supporting the current seasonal model, with claims that Destiny 2 will die without them. And on one side of that coin, I agree. With the current lack of focus on core activities, over-reliance on time-gated tedious quest lines, and just overall lack of depth in the core game of Destiny, I'd say also if a season weren't to come out in the next couple of months, the player base would drastically fall off. But on the other side of that coin is a chance to change course for Destiny. It's clear that the game can't survive on this stale repeating seasonal model forever. The honeymoon phase gets shorter and shorter each season and expansion, and now is the time Bungie ought to start looking at how to change the core game for the better moving forward. And here is what I propose. It's something I've been saying for years now, and have wanted for the game for a very long time, and you're welcome to agree or disagree with me, but just please hear me out first. There's a few layers to this idea that won't make complete sense until I'm finished explaining all of it, so before you comment something like, oh that won't work because, again, just hear me out first. This idea doesn't rule out seasons altogether. In fact, I'm fine with the seasonal release every 3 months, but just not in its current design. Alright, so here's the basis of the idea. Instead of 1 expansion and 4 horde mode focused seasons per year, instead we have 2 expansions and core activity focused seasons. Ideally 1 large expansion in the fall, i.e. Witch Queen, sometime in September or October, then a mid-size expansion, i.e. House of Wolves or Rise of Iron in the spring. And again, before you say, oh that's not possible, just think about how much dev time is made up of creating numerous horde modes and other seasonal content that doesn't have much staying power and is removed every 3 months, and then imagine what these devs could do if given the time to create another expansion instead of just those 4 horde modes and bland drawn out seasonal content. 2 larger drops a year sounds a lot better than 1 drop and then 4 drip fed mediocre at best seasons. Now as for seasons, they wouldn't have to leave as a whole. Creating smaller content like adding a couple Crucible maps or a new strike with a quest surrounding it, kind of like with Malak in Destiny 1's April update, or hell, do something even with Gambit, like new maps or variations of the game mode. Just kind of toy around with the core activities that already exist in the game and that have already been created. Still allow for the sandbox team to keep up with balance updates and things like 3.0 subclasses. Maybe we get an exotic quest in a season or something like that. Even keep the battle pass in the game, I don't really care, that's fine with me. But as for the bulk of the team that would usually be left to create 4 different horde modes and seasonal content as it stands now, let them instead create meaningful content worthy of a significant drop in the spring. Bungie's team is massive and ever expanding. They have the manpower to do tons of content, and yes, they charge a lot of extra for it, but they can do it, so they've proven. I mean, just think back to the last year. Bungie released Beyond Light, all 4 of its seasons with horde modes, missions like Presage and Harbinger, they reprised the Vault of Glass, and even created a somewhat larger 5th season, almost mini expansion within the 30th anniversary pack. It had a horde mode, it had a dungeon, a lot of quest lines, and truth be told, they definitely charged mini expansion amounts of money for it, so. And on top of that, they also kept up with their holiday themed events like Crimson Days, Solstice, Festival of the Lost, things like that. And then of course they followed that up a couple months later with The Witch Queen, a massive expansion with 4 more seasons prepared with 2 dungeons to keep us busy throughout the year, and another reprised raid. That is truthfully a lot of content. Is it all great? Probably not. But I'm sure it's not entirely easy to keep up with that amount of content creation. So ridding us of the seasonal model and instead getting those dungeons, or maybe even just 1 dungeon honestly, and a new raid during the spring with a good story campaign, a mission similar to 0 Hour or Whisper or something, whatever it is, bundle that together in a smaller but still content heavy expansion during the spring. I think it would be absolutely possible, and at least that's what it feels like to me based on what Bungie has shown us they're capable of doing. I mean, if the price is right, they always find a way. Just like creating the 30th anniversary content, which again felt like an overly packed season on top of their already very busy 4-season creation schedule. Now let's imagine if this year of the Witch Queen this idea was already implemented. We get Witch Queen with a massive story campaign, a new destination, a horde mode, i.e. the Wellspring, the raid, world loot pool updated, various exotic quests and post-campaign quest lines, couple strikes, all in a nicely wrapped package. Then, instead of 4 seasons and their current iteration, we get what I outlined about maybe a new strike with a story quest surrounding it, maybe a Crucible map or a new game mode alongside a battle pass to grind out. Things like Crucible maps and strikes I think would especially be easier to create than a new horde mode that has so many things that have to be created, like new currencies, new vendors, new armor sets, new weapons, bosses with mechanics. And while I like this kind of stuff, I can't help but feel that it's just lost a lot of meaning because of how often it happens and how similar each activity really is. And the armor and weapons are rarely top tier quality. I don't really see too many people even bothering with Season of the Haunted weapons this season, so they may as well not even exist, despite how cool they look. Of course, during the year we still get our usual holiday events like Festival of the Lost, the Dawning, Crimson Days, Solstice, since these are usually just recycling the same activities from previous years, so it isn't like they really need to create a whole bunch of new stuff for those activities or I guess holiday events. But I think that's fine if they still exist and it keeps us busy at the very least. Iron Banner and Trials still exists on their timely rotations. Nothing really needs to be changed there. So while all those things are kind of keeping us busy in between, where we get like a smaller scaled season with core activity content, we're building up to another smaller expansion in March or April. Not anything the size of the Witch Queen or something, but something like House of Wolves or Rise of Iron, where we get a shorter but still good campaign, a smaller but still worthwhile destination, a new raid, maybe even a raid layer sized raid like Scourge of the Past or something, and then we get a dungeon. Doesn't even have to be 2 of them like they've already planned for this year. It could literally just be 1 dungeon. This being launched alongside a new season that brings a couple new quest lines, maybe a new strike and PvP map, and of course a battle pass. Now to me, this sounds plausible, but I'm not a game dev. However, the amount of content in a year would be roughly the same as if they were pumping out 4 horde mode filled seasons. But instead, it's just 2 quality expansions per year. Content for a season in this idea we're discussing is content that actually adds to the game, like strikes and Crucible maps. 2 things the game is sorely lacking new content in. And I think there would be less fatigue from players who feel that each season feels like just a minorly changed version of the last season. Just imagine 2 meaty expansions per year, one of which is a bit smaller than the other, and the seasons that do, yes, add less content, but the content is actually adding to the core activities of the game. Do I think Bungie will do this? Probably not, and not especially anytime soon, but I do think Bungie might have to do something in the future to change up the monotony of their seasonal content if complaints regarding seasons gets much higher. This is a possible solution I'd like to see Bungie try out for the future of Destiny 2. It's again something I've been saying for years. Quality over quantity is really what it comes down to for me. 2 quality expansions always sounds much better to me than 1 expansion and 4 drawn out drip-fed content drops. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.